Hello, um, we're doing the practical on histology of the cardiovascular system, and I have 5 slides which I'll be showing. Cardiac muscle. Remember that we've done the histology, the theory class, and even the practical, so this is designed to reinforce for those who may have missed it as well. So we'll look at the slides of the heart, and then we'll look at the slides of the large artery, the aorta. We look at the large vein, the inferior vena cava, and then we'll look at the medium and medium arteries and veins. So let's go ahead and start with looking at the histology of the cardiac muscle. You will remember that there are 3 types of muscle, and you also need to remember the characteristic features of each. So you remember the features of skeletal muscle. You remember that smooth muscle has no striations, it has a spindle-shaped nucleus. You remember that skeletal muscle is multinucleated. It has cylindrical units. It has striations, and the nucleus is usually away from the center or eccentric. So I start off with a lower power magnification of the cardiac muscle, but I encourage you to take maybe 2 to 4 power magnification as we move away from the right to the left. You see a better sectioning of the muscle. Here we can see the typical striations, which are the red cross lines. We can see the branching. We can see the nucleus of the muscle, nuclei which are centrally placed. We can just make out the intercalated discs, which are these semi-transparent lines running in a cross-sectional manner. And these, as you remember, are the gap junctions that improve the speed of transmission of the conducted impulse and makes the muscle contract as a unit, what is commonly called a syncytium. So again, you can see the striations. Here is a gap junction. This is the branching, the Y-shaped appearance. This is the nuclei, which are mainly in the center. These are the key features of the cardiac muscle. We did also see parts of the epicardium, and in places you can see between the muscle sheaths there's ghost cells here, which are the remnants of adipocytes or fat cells. You can see connective tissue here with a lot of fibrocytes. You may not always see or distinguish the epicardium. Here there are blood vessels in the heart here, and we can see spindle-shaped cells here as well. So I'll hurry on. Let me hurry on now to show the large vessels. Key characteristics of the large vessels, you remember, the arteries carry a lot of weight. The pressure is very high in the arteries, so we expect a very thick tunica media as opposed to what we see in the veins. So this is at rather high magnification. I'll try to make it a little bit smaller so that it's starting off with a slightly lower magnification so that you can begin to see. You will notice that the larger the vessel is, in contrast to the smaller vessels, the whole lumen is too big to fit on the slide. So this is the lumen side, and this is the outer wall side. So this is a large elastic artery, and we can see, if you look carefully, start off at low magnification, see the 3 layers, tunica intima, which is also called the endothelium, the tunica media, which is running all the way. You can ignore these are just artifacts of preparation, distortion in the preparation of the tissue. Sometimes the tissue folds on itself. It's the tunica media, it's the tunica adventitia. Blood vessels inside there called the vasa vasorum. Take it a slightly higher magnification, say come into the middle there. You see the single layer squamous, simple squamous epithelium of the endothelium, and we can see the spindle cells of the smooth muscle, the tunica media. We can see a lot of fiber. These are elastic fiber which give the muscle its capacity to stretch under high pressure. And then we see the third layer here, which is the tunica adventitia, with a lot of connective tissue and inside vessels that provide nutrition. So these are called the vasa vasorum. So that's the large artery. Its main distinction is the tunica media, which has a lot of elastic fibers. We'll see and try and compare that now with the large vein. Okay, so the large vein will have slightly different appearance because remember the vein is a capacitance unit. It's mostly for storage. So what we see there mostly is quite a wide tunica adventitia. So again we can see endothelial single layer. You can see a little bit of the elastic, external elastic lamina, which is the basement membrane on which the endothelium sits. Now here we can see the tunica media, and we can see the smooth muscle, spindle-shaped cell nucleus inside the smooth muscle. And then now we see that the tunica adventitia here is much longer. It has a lot of vasa vasorum. So the distinction again, if it's a large vessel, the lumen, whole lumen will not be seen, but we will notice, especially if we go this way, that the tunica media is relatively less than the tunica adventitia. So the most striking difference is the presence of the tunica adventitia, which is this connective tissue together with collagen fibers. Okay, so let me then quickly move on to the comparison, a nice comparison between the large and medium arteries. And here the large and medium arteries have been especially stained by a Mallory-Weiss stain. Mallory-Weiss stain allows for the visualization of connective tissue in particular. So it helps us to see the tunica adventitia, which is usually colored green, and makes a good, very nice contrast for us to see. So here we have two vessels. The striking thing you will see here is that because of the large tunica media, we see this also in the gross anatomy, the lumen is circular. So the vessels, the artery does not collapse. Here we see the lumen is almost T-shaped. It's a wide lumen and it has collapsed because the tunica adventitia, the tunica media, is not very thick. So this is an artery. It's a medium-sized artery. We can see a lot of the elastic fibers there. The tunica media is the largest predominantly. Tunica adventitia is a lot less. You see the medium-sized vein, it has a large tunica adventitia and a rather smaller tunica media. Focus it a little bit and have a look again. You can see the endothelium of the tunica intima front. You can see the smooth muscle there interspersed with collagen fibers that are staining blue, and then the tunica adventitia on the outside with collagen fibers which are also staining blue. On the vein side, we can see the endothelium, which is simple squamous epithelium. You can see the tunica media. There's just about 3 or 4 layers, but look at the tunica adventitia.